Hello everyone, my name is Sofia Tsurlaki and this video is the first video of a new era or a new series of videos I will create. My channel, if you visit my channel, you will see that exists for the last couple of years, and in the first era or in the first period, my objective was to introduce Islam to the Greek people for many reasons. That I have explained in those videos, and those videos, the majority of them, they have English subtitles, so you can visit them and understand. Now, after a couple of years, I think that this objective has been successfully, alhamdulillah, fulfilled. The basic principles, the basic elements of Islam have been explained in the Greek language for the Greek people, so there is no point of me going into depth or details in the Greek language. The majority of the Greek people, or my audience, or my objective was not to convert Greek people to Islam, but to make Greek people stop fearing Islam and understand Islam. So at this stage, after 2 years, I myself have developed when it comes to Islam, and I think it's the time that I start talking to the Muslims. So I don't want to talk to non-Muslims so that they will understand Islam, but I want to talk to Muslims. And I have a lot of things to say. This video, which is the first video, will engage in the topic of responsibility, which for me is very important for all of us. And when I say us, I mean Muslims. And there are different aspects of responsibility. I will start with the basic aspect, that in Islam we don't have hierarchy. We don't have someone to play the role of intermediate between Allah and the believer, which is great, but it's also a great responsibility that we need to fulfill. Unfortunately, the majority of Muslims I have come across for the last 19 years that I study Islam, I engage with Muslims, they don't do that. Majority of Muslims don't take responsibility of your own religion. What majority of Muslims do is that they copy religion. Their mother's religion, their father's religion. And when I say religion, I don't mean Islam. I mean the way Islam is being practiced. So they play safe. And I understand that, because taking responsibility is a heavy thing to do. Many people can't do it, can't take responsibility for simple things. Many people can't take responsibilities of their own actions. That's why they lie a lot. So people who lie a lot are people who are scared to take responsibility of their own actions. But this is not how Islam should be. So in Islam, we should take responsibility. We should judge for something. And this leads us to my main objective, which will be Sharia and Usul al-Fiqh, but not yet. So at this stage, the first advice is take responsibility of your religiosity. Younger people do it, alhamdulillah, through social media, through the internet, through studying and engaging with non-Muslims or with Muslims from different sects. So younger generations do it, but they always come in clash with their communities, families. So it's time for everyone to take responsibility. It's time for everyone to employ our reason, our intellect, which is something that the Qur'an emphasizes a lot. The way Muslims live together or experience Islam together or practice Islam together is, whatever the big ulama said, we will do. Or whatever the shaykhs, some foreign shaykhs, the majority follow some foreign shaykhs, we will do. Without critical thinking, they just accept whatever they are being told. Now, if this is the way that you want to experience Islam, that you want to practice Islam, alhamdulillah, do it. It's your responsibility. And the day of judgment, you will stand in front of Allah and you will explain why. My problem is when you opt for this mode of experiencing Islam and then you try to force it to others, which is problematic. And others might be your children, your family, your friends. It's okay for you to choose. Do not force it to someone else. Do not takfir others because they have a different understanding. And now you will tell me, okay, but how am I to choose? How am I to decide? Well, one thing is educate yourself. And I know it's difficult. And I don't mean go to a university. Not everyone has the opportunity to go to a university. And there are questions about universities, which questions we will elaborate on later. We live in an era where ignorance is a choice and there is no excuse. Because we have internet. Internet has knowledge. Instead of using it to play games and, I don't know, watch cat videos, not that I have anything against cats, I love cats, okay, but, I mean, do that as well, but don't do just that. Don't waste time. Wasting time in Islam is something that is not advisable. Knowledge is there. Go and search. When you have something that you're not 100% sure, or even if you believe that you're sure, because we will see in future videos how people are being shaped from early age to understand a certain reality in Islam. Go out of your comfort zone and question what you know. Why do I believe that? Who told me? The majority of the times you will not be able to answer this. You will not know who told you. It's tacit knowledge at this stage. Tacit knowledge is when you know something because everyone knows it, but you don't know exactly why. So revisit what you think you know, especially when you find yourself ready to advise another Muslim. Stop and think, why do I want to give this advice? Who told me that this is the case? How do I know that this is the case? And don't go that, oh, a scholar told me, Sharia tells me. We will talk about Sharia. We will talk about Sharia. And whether you should follow it or not today. And I don't mean not to follow Sharia, I mean, because that sounds weird. Whether you should have a critical approach to Sharia. Another thing is, don't ask other lay Muslims to teach you your religion. It happens very often nowadays that Muslim people, especially Muslim men, I don't know why this is the case, approach me and they're like, oh, how do we talk to non-Muslims about Islam? How do we represent Islam? How do we, teach Islam? If you are not a scholar of Islam, you don't. And the noblest thing to do is to admit ignorance. We live in an era where everyone is an expert. And especially men are afraid of admitting that they don't know something. There is even a joke about Arabs that circulates years ago, where the whole point is that if you are in a mall and you ask an Arab to tell you where's the exit, they will say, yeah, the exit is there. And they don't know, but they tell you because they feel fear, they feel uncomfortable to admit that I don't know. So be comfortable with I don't know. Be comfortable with it's not my job. I'm not in a position to give you this information. It's like if someone is asking you for an open heart surgery, but you're an engineer, okay? If you take the responsibility to answer this question, most probably you will mislead people. So with the same freedom and comfort that an engineer should say, I don't know about heart surgery, I'm not a doctor. You should have the same comfort saying, I cannot tell you about what you're asking me because I'm not a scholar of Islam. Muslims feel insecure that if they admit ignorance means that they are not good Muslims. No, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. The way I instruct people respond to such questions, which majority of times they're not questions, Muslims somehow, especially when comes to contact with non-Muslims or Muslims from different background, converts, they feel obliged, I will tell you, I will teach you, it's my understanding. They don't say my understanding, it's that this is Islam. And they tell their own Islam the way they learned it in their house. My advice is, make clear when you communicate whatever you think you know, that in my opinion, in my understanding, the way I was raised, I was led to believe that whatever. At the end of the day, a religion is something you believe in, right? So yes, okay, of course you can talk about the way you perceive Islam, but clarify that this is my understanding. This is the way I learned it. Don't present it like if this is the only and absolute truth. For the first 14 years that I was searching and learning about Islam, every single Muslim I asked about the same specific thing will give me different answer. And when I would ask, but how? I have this answer and this answer and this answer, so yours is one more, a different answer. Their defense mechanism would be, oh, I will ask my mom and I will come back to you. They never came back to me. Never. As a result, I was very confused. Very confused. Only when I went to the university and I studied Islam in the university, I realized what was going on. So, be responsible both in the way you practice your religion, but most importantly, in the way you communicate it. Make clear that whatever message, whatever information you convey is your understanding, is the way your community, your family experiences Islam. And the last thing in responsibility, other than you communicating, is you receiving. For better or for worse, we live in the era of internet, which I love it, the era of social media, and we all know that the criteria of whom will you follow, whom will you listen when it comes to your religion are quite irrelevant, I would say. And I will give you an example that happened to me very recently. So I was at work and a lovely colleague of mine was talking to another colleague, so I was just witnessing the conversation, and they were talking about the idea of alcohol in Islam and how the majority of the people, 99% of the people, believe that there is a Catholic, agreement that alcohol is haram, which is not true, but the majority of Muslims don't know that. So my colleague was explaining to another colleague that, you know what, that's not true. There was a sheikh that said that in certain circumstances, the prohibition doesn't exist. And the one who was listening, the colleague that was listening, was like, what? Now, both of them in their late 20s, early 30s, I think early 30s. And then the first one proceeded to justify this legal ruling of non-prohibition of alcohol by saying, you know what? An actual sheikh was saying that with beard and, the headscarf that the Saudi or the Arab sheikhs wear. So with full dressing and full beard, he was an actual sheikh who was speaking Arabic. And although I was happy to see that young Muslims communicate these differentiations in Sharia, and I was absolutely grateful to the sheikh that actually had the boldness to go out there and tell the truth, I was a bit saddened that the criteria of my colleague was, beard and Arabic, Arab dress code and Arabic language. The reason I was saddened is that if I was to say the same thing, I will be disregarded because I'm a woman, because I don't speak Arabic. Imagine if I was not wearing hijab as well. Oh, that would be the end of the world. So please update your standards. Do not judge a book by its cover. Go to the point. Take responsibility of your religion. And be responsible when you communicate the practices of your religion. This will be the first video. I will continue The second video, the one that it will follow, will be about an advice. I mean, the majority of my videos will be pieces of advice for Muslims. So the first is be responsible. Examine. Think critically. Shut your mouth when you don't know. Admit that you don't know. Make clear that whatever you communicate is not the absolute truth. It's the way you learned it. And it might be wrong. Be humble. The whole idea of being humble in Islam. Practice it. The second video will be about this obsession that Muslims have to honor their ancestors. I will advise everyone to change your mindset. If you want to honor someone, honor your children, not your ancestors. But this will be in the next video. Thank you for watching. Please be respectful in your comments. And if you have questions, if you have things that you would like me to elaborate on, please leave a comment under the video and I will try to accommodate your needs. That's all for today. See you in the next video.